Hey everyone, welcome back to Fruits Around the World. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating questions in nutrition science. Which fruits actually have the power to fight cancer cells? We're going to completely blow your mind with what researchers discovered when they tested the 11 most popular fruits in America against human cancer cells. Spoiler alert, the results are absolutely shocking. Some fruits you'd think would be superstars barely made a dent, while others, including one super common citrus fruit, absolutely dominated the competition. We're talking about real laboratory testing here with actual cancer cells, not just theory. We'll explore why vitamin C content doesn't tell you nearly as much as you think it does. We'll uncover the surprising truth about whether bananas contain those powerful berry compounds. And we'll reveal which fruit requires only a tiny dose to cause a dramatic drop in cancer cell growth. By the end of this video, you'll never look at your fruit bowl the same way again. So stick around because we're about to take you on a journey through cutting-edge nutritional science that could literally change the way you eat. All right, before we jump into this incredible research, I need to ask you for a huge favor. If you love learning about fruits and their amazing health benefits, please hit that subscribe button right now. We're working really hard to bring you the most interesting and scientifically backed information about fruits from around the world, and YouTube's algorithm only promotes channels that are growing. We need to reach certain subscriber milestones to monetize this channel and keep bringing you this awesome content. So please, take just 2 seconds right now and click subscribe. And while you're at it, smash that like button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. It really makes a massive difference for us, and it's completely free for you. We're trying to build a community of fruit lovers who want to make informed decisions about their health, and we can't do it without your support. Okay, now let's get into this absolutely mind-blowing research. So, let's start with a question. When you think about healthy fruits, what comes to mind? Probably antioxidants, right? Maybe you think about vitamin C? A lot of people do. In fact, if you were to compare the healthfulness of different fruits based purely on vitamin content, you might get some pretty interesting conclusions. Let me give you an example with the two most popular fruits in America, apples and bananas. If we're just looking at vitamin C content, bananas would seem like the clear winner. A medium banana has about 10 milligrams of vitamin C, while an apple only has about 5 milligrams. So based on that alone, you'd think bananas are twice as healthy as apples, right? Makes perfect sense. But here's where things get really interesting, and this is where most people get nutrition completely wrong. Vitamin C is just one nutrient. It's just one single compound out of literally thousands of different phytonutrients that exist in fruits and vegetables. And here's the kicker that's going to blow your mind. The vitamin C in an apple accounts for less than 1% of that apple's total antioxidant activity. Less than 1%. Let me show you what I mean with some visual data that researchers put together. If you look at the total antioxidant content of a red delicious apple, it's substantial, right? Now if you look at how much of that antioxidant power comes from the vitamin C in that apple, you can barely even see it. It's this tiny, minuscule sliver. Even though there are only 5 milligrams of vitamin C in a small apple, that apple has the antioxidant equivalent of 1,500 milligrams of vitamin C. 1,500! That's 300 times more antioxidant power than the actual vitamin C content would suggest. Now here's something else that's fascinating. Studies have shown that if you actually take 1,500 milligrams of vitamin C straight up as a supplement, it might actually have a pro-oxidant effect. That means instead of being an antioxidant, it could potentially cause DNA damage. But when you eat a single apple, you get 3 times the antioxidant power of a high-dose vitamin C supplement without any of those adverse effects. Pretty incredible, right? This is why whole foods are so much more powerful than isolated supplements. Nature packages these nutrients together in a way that our bodies can actually use effectively. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but bananas have more than just vitamin C too, right? Absolutely. In fact, there was this really interesting study that came out of Harvard that kind of surprised a lot of nutrition world. The researchers suggested that not only blueberries and strawberries, but also bananas were significant sources of anthocyanins. Now, if you're not familiar with anthocyanins, these are those powerful red, blue, and violet phytonutrients that you find in berries. They're incredibly potent antioxidants, and they've been linked to all sorts of health benefits. So when Harvard published this, a lot of nutritionists were like, wait a minute, maybe we've been underestimating bananas this whole time. And you know what? Bananas are technically berries. No joke. Botanically speaking, bananas are berries, while strawberries actually aren't. Crazy, right? But here's the thing. When you look at three fruits like blueberries, strawberries, and bananas, you see anthocyanins in the blueberries. Obviously, they're blue. You see them in strawberries, they're red. But when you look at a banana, you're not really seeing much red, blue, or violet, are you? It's yellow, bright yellow. So something seemed off about this Harvard data. Now, wild bananas are a completely different story. There are anthocyanins in blue bananas, purple bananas, orange-red bananas, red-purple bananas, and pink-purple bananas. But in yellow bananas, the kind that you and I buy at the grocery store every week, none, zero anthocyanins. So what happened? Well, other researchers challenged the Harvard team on this, and the Harvard researchers explained that they had simply taken their values from the USDA database. And it turns out the USDA had apparently made a mistake. They had incorrectly listed bananas as containing anthocyanins when they actually don't. So that got corrected, and we now know for sure no anthocyanins in your regular yellow bananas. So even though bananas have twice the vitamin C of apples, when you measure overall antioxidant power, apples actually beat out bananas. The apples win. But here's the thing, and this is really important. Measuring antioxidant power is still just looking at the ability of these fruits to quench an oxidation reaction in a test tube. It's a laboratory measurement. It's useful, don't get me wrong, but it would be so much better if we could measure actual biological activity. Like, what do these fruits actually do when they encounter living cells, especially cancer cells? And this is where the research gets absolutely fascinating. In one apple study, researchers didn't just measure antioxidant capacity, they also measured the ability of apple extracts from both peeled and unpeeled apples to suppress the growth of human cancer cells growing in a petri dish. Real cancer cells, real suppression. This is the kind of testing that tells us what these fruits can actually do in biological systems. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could compare that kind of superpower between all different types of fruits? Like, which fruit is the best cancer fighter? Well, guess what? Now we can. There's this incredible study that did exactly this kind of testing, and the results are going to absolutely shock you. What do you think would be the most powerful cancer fruit? Drop your guess in the comments right now before I tell you the answer. Is it apples? Blueberries? Oranges? Take a wild guess and let me know what you think. Alright, so here's what the researchers did. They created a graph showing cancer cell proliferation, that means cancer cell growth, versus increasing concentrations of the 11 most common fruits eaten in the United States. For this particular study, they decided to use human liver cancer cells. Now, liver cancer is a really serious disease, so finding foods that can fight it is incredibly important. They set up their experiment like this. If you drip water on these cancer cells as a control, nothing happens. The cancer cells start out growing at 100% and they just keep powering away at 100% growth. They're doing their thing, multiplying, growing, being cancerous. So then they started testing fruits. First up, pineapples, pears, and oranges. And honestly, these three didn't do much better than water. The cancer cells just kept growing pretty much unaffected. I know, right? Oranges especially surprised me because we always hear about how healthy citrus fruits are. But at least for these liver cancer cells, pineapples, pears, and regular oranges weren't showing much anti-cancer activity at all. Then peaches started pulling away from the pack a little bit. At high peach concentrations, the cancer cell proliferation dropped about 10%. So peaches are doing something, but it's not dramatic. You need a lot of peach to get a 10% reduction in cancer growth. That's not terrible, but it's not exactly a knockout punch either. But then things started getting interesting. Bananas and grapefruits worked about 4 times better than peaches. At similar concentrations, bananas and grapefruits were dropping cancer growth by about 40%. 40%! Now we're talking. That's a pretty substantial reduction in cancer cell growth. So if you're eating bananas or grapefruits, you're getting some real anti-cancer activity happening. But wait, it gets better. Red grapes, strawberries, and apples did even better than bananas and grapefruits. These three fruits were cutting cancer cell growth up to half, and they were doing it at only half the dose that bananas and grapefruits needed. So not only are they more effective, they're more potent. You need less of them to get a bigger effect. That's pretty impressive, right? Apples, red grapes, and strawberries are coming in strong. Now, I want you to pause for a second and think about what fruit you think would win this competition. We've got pineapples, pears, and oranges barely doing anything. We've got peaches doing a little bit. We've got bananas and grapefruits doing pretty well. We've got apples, red grapes, and strawberries doing even better. What fruit do you think beats all of them? Seriously, drop a comment right now with your guess. And while you're down there in the comments, tell me where you're watching this video from. Are you in the United States, Europe, Asia, South America? I love seeing where all of you fruit enthusiasts are tuning in from. It's so cool to have a global community of people who care about nutrition and health. Okay, now let's get into this absolutely mind-blowing research. So, let's start with a question. When you think about healthy fruits, what comes to mind? Probably